I'm just a dog player.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for this.
I forgot about it because I told you y'all do it. I'm like, wait, I promised something to some, what did I say I was gonna do? I'm like, oh yeah, it's all these imitating little hearings and shit I gotta do, you know? It's like, there's not a whole lot of progress, but you don't know that till I tell you. Yeah. Rides and goes around. He shows up in court with his niece and pushing it, right? Okay. And he doesn't worry about getting dressed or combing his hair when he has to, or, you know, taking a bath or anything before he gets up. It's pretty awful, right? So last year, that's all he does is shop. And Dominic just announces at the hearing, oh, well, he's in the hospital. He's not, if he leaves us, he's not. Just hold up my place. You're here. Not Dominic. And he's just, yeah, my client's in the hospital. Okay, it was just legal arguments anyway, so he gets away with it. So now there's literally 11 days. You watch, he'll be in the hospital for this date, so he won't be able to come in for the test. Is there a difference around there?
Oh, did I already get mine?
Sort of. I got one. It's the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have extra.
I know, sure thing. When I went. Oh, we only heard. I don't.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't.
Like that. How are you?
His niece is there. She's back with that. Terrifying.
Get up there, shake it down. Okay. I like this. I like I can't, you know. Crap. It's creative, who's got all the. Yeah. Right.
Did you email a clerk report? Email a clerk report?
Yeah.
You want to do it? Okay. You want to do the election thing during reports?
Yeah, city clerk.
Oh, there you are.
Hey, Jason, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
What about, you want to do that under the report? Yes.
Honestly, some of those reports, it's gonna be an even shorter.
What are those?
Than the last record meeting.
Herb?
So everything's on the special meeting, so as we're going earlier.
Yeah.
Thought crossed my mind. There's a reason, you can just have something right back your school.
We drink two ways different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, they, like they get lost.
Catherine, can you see if Randy's on the screen? Thank you. I can't see that.
I'm on here, yeah. I'm the big elk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That, Gray? 6 o'clock. You call a meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Catherine, roll call, please.
Mayor Pat Scanlon.
Here.
Councilmember Ben Argo.
Here.
Councilmember Brett Argo.
Here.
Councilmember Jason Chapman.
Here.
And Councilmember Kirk Kipling is excused.
Thank you. I have one amendment on the agenda. That is 11E, item 11E. There's just a typo. The DPW grader that request for surplus is 161, not 167. That being said, council, what's your pleasure?
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Public comment. Anyone for public comment? Take the podium and give us your name and address, please.
Michael Jennings, 672 Duncan, Ishpeming, Michigan, 49849.
All right, Michael, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, so I've been on, public assistance programs for water in the past. It takes them usually from 2 days to 2 weeks from the time that I submit them the bill to the time they get the approval. And it usually takes around 2 weeks from the time of the approval to the time the city gets their payment, assuming that I get the bill promptly. I can't submit my bill until it's past due. With the way the city's system is set up, a due date is the 5th. By the 15th, they give us a shut off notice. By the 25th, they shut off the water. It's just not enough time. That 20 days or just about calendar days or about three weeks. It's just not enough time to get the whole process from beginning to end done reliably. Sometimes a person's out of the office for a week, sometimes they're at training for a week, sometimes they're sick. They're not always able to get it. Sometimes a staff member might get let go and someone else is filling in. My question is it possible with the city, number one, to allow for us time to do this? Number two, can they maybe give us a copy of the paper bill or a PDF copy through the website? The mail sometimes can take over 2 weeks to get from the city to me. Last bill before this most recent one, it took 15 days from the time they mailed it to the time we got it. I have found that the things generally get there within 2 or 3 days if they're the size of a letter, but these little tiny postcards, water bill size, they just cannot get to us because they get stuck in the mail equipment, going to the post office, they get lost, they just don't get there. Sometimes I don't get it at all. So my question is, can the city do that, put it online so we can get it? Because we're not always able to get down to City Hall. And then number two, the extension that we can get is 2 weeks from the date we apply for it. If we don't apply on the last day, we don't really get a full 2 week extension. We get less than that. And that 2 week extension for us on assistance, that's even sometimes that could be a challenge getting it by that date, but we just don't have enough time to get it by the original due date. And giving us a shut off notice once we already have applied for assistance and the city knows it isn't going to do us any good, because we don't have control over AMCAP, we don't have control over the mail, and we don't have control over when we can get the bill. So is there a way for the city to make it so that we can reliably get assistance through those programs? Or is it going to go on the way it is, where it's not feasible without getting our water shut off?
Thank you, Michael. And just a reminder, we do not respond to public comment, but it will be taken into consideration. Your points are valid and will be considered. Anyone else for public comment? F. Frank? All right, Claudia. Anybody else, public comment? Sarah?
Hi, good evening, council members again. Sarah Garver, and I can now say at 3759 County Road CL in Ishpeming. I'm here to recap a little bit about the powwow that happened on September 21st. I just want to address that me and most of my powwow committee, we had some incidents that happened the day of, that kind of what we get our ducks in a row and things that happen and will help make it better for next year. But we feel like there should be an addendum packet, like a checklist made out for people that are doing organizations such as this one, because first, I think that with the earning of this powwow that happened in Ishpeming, it was such a huge success. A lot of local businesses, a lot of community members and residents came, and still to this day, we are still hearing about how great it was and spiritual and moving it was for the community. And so we'd like to make it an annual. And one of the things is if we keep it in an annual and we keep it close to downtown and be part of city of Ishpeming, is being over there by Lake Bancroft, is I'd like to know who's in charge of that parking lot, because there was people 3-barrel parking, and there was a lady that was stuck for 2.5 hours and couldn't get out even when we had the cops come there to give us a license plate number and a name, and she was still stuck there. So there's no like lines in that parking lot, and that should be addressed somewhere with whoever. I don't know if it's half a city or if it's half of the historic museum, but that was just one of our downfalls that we had. The first one was, I think that we need a little bit more of a cultural awareness of Native Americans in the city of Ishpeming, and maybe some federal training going on because of our sacred practices that we do. And one of them was having a fire. And that was an issue brought up with somebody. And so I and couple of our council members went to the historical museum and asked them if we would be able to have our sacred fire on their property. And they went to their meeting and talked to their board members, and they okayed it. We weren't given specifics on where the line is for the historical museum or the city property. But at these things, we have a firekeeper. A firekeeper is asked with tobacco and also paid to watch over it. It's just a very small fire, and someone called the cops on us, and the cops came in. I'd like to give a shout out to that cop, whoever it was that came there, because he was so respectful and he was down to earth and so helpful. And he has a long name. I don't know what that officer's name was, but he came there and tried to fix the situation the best that he could. And with, the large scale of people that were already at this powwow, he didn't think that it would be good for the city to make it a big deal. And so, I don't know whatever happened with that, because I was here and everywhere as the president of Ishpeming powwow, but there was other ones that came over and took care of it for me. So I don't know what the grand finale was with that situation, but it seemed like everything went okay after he came there and talked to us about it, and realized that we had went to, historical museum people to get permission to have that fire, because it is sacred and it is part of our culture, and it always will be. So that's why I want to make it an address that cultural awareness be more subdued here. The other kink that we ran into was, and part of the reason why I think that there should be an addendum made on this thing, on powwows and spirituals, is we had to get tents, because at the time we thought that it was going to be 70% rain, and God blessed us with a beautiful day. But I had rented some tents 2 days prior to this, just to make sure everybody was covered. And we were told that we weren't allowed to put stakes in the ground unless we called Miss Dig. So I think that should probably be in the packet, and address the people that are having organizations such as mine, so we know ahead of time. You know, because this, like I said, I had to get these tents 2 days prior to the event, and there was no way Miss Stig was gonna be able to get there before that event took place, so we had to go and spend like $300, right? To go to Lowe's and get sandbags to hold them strings down at the tent, and you know, that was not part of our budget. But
And wrap it up, Sarah, please.
yeah, I was just wanted to make those things up and bring them up, and I just want to say, you know, I'm part of the Ishpeming Community Powwow Committee. We want to say thank you to City Council and the City of Ishpeming for allowing us to have this powwow that was such a great spectacular turnout.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? In the back?
Hey, everybody. My name is Jeremy Johnson. I live at 901 North 3rd Street here in Ishpeming. I'm attending tonight, hoping to hear an update on the water and road project. But first, I'd like to share my experience as a resident. So far, this project has felt unorganized, inefficient, and in my opinion, has suffered in perception from a lack of communication. Setbacks happen, but it seems the plan changes daily for this project. Sidewalks have been removed from the repair plan. Construction crews show up every morning not knowing their work plan for the day. And in some areas, we see curbs being replaced in a checkerboard pattern rather than sticking to the dig once philosophy and replacing the entire block. I'm not sure what that's about. You know, maybe there's budget issues, but it'd be nice to have some communication on it. On our block, the curbs and sidewalks are only being replaced maybe 15 feet in, despite the entire block being torn up. Not sure why that is. Why not just get it all done at once? And communication has been non-existent through the whole project. Again, the block that I live in has been dug up 3 separate times. I don't know why. They dig it up, they fill it in, they dig it up, they fill it in. And every single time our water has been cut off without any notice. I might be an exception to this, but I work from home. You know, I go to make my coffee at 10 in the morning and I've got no water. I go to run my dishes, I go to take a shower. This has happened 3 times at least. This is a $20 million project, yet the details feel like a complete afterthought here. It doesn't make me feel confident as a resident, and I wonder what's going to happen when the infrastructure that's not being replaced during this project, whether it's a sidewalk or a pipe. I think, you know, the construction crews told me that the sewer pipes were being replaced, but the water lines, despite probably needing to be replaced, weren't going to be replaced on this one. What happens when those fail? Where's the money going to come from? And why aren't we doing it the first time around? That's all.
Jeremy, what was your address again? All right, thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we will move on. Oh, is there anybody on chat? On Zoom, I can't see that.
I can't even, don't see any attendees.
Nobody. All right. We will close public comment. Moving on with our agenda. The manager is obviously not here tonight. He's had some medical issues. He is on Zoom and he's at home resting up, and we should have him back in full operation here in the next couple of days. So we wish him well in a speedy recovery. Consent agenda.
For honor, I will make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Support.
I have a motion and support to accept the consent agenda, which consists of minutes of the previous meetings of 9/10 and 9/17, 2025, approval of disbursements, confirm appointment of Carrie Meyer to a 4-year term on the DDA, expiring on 29, confirm reappointment of Bryce Termer to a 4-year term on the DDA, also expiring in 29, and confirm appointment of Julie Lumen to the Housing Commission, her term expiring in 2030. All those in favor? Aye, opposed. Very good. Consent agenda is accepted. Monthly reports. We will start with our financial director, Gray.
All right, so we are kicking it off with the report titled 8A as opposed to 8A1 or 8A2. Revenue and expenditure report for selected funds for the period ending 9/30/2025. Starting off with the general fund. Overall, year to date, as we'll see in our budget amendments when we get there, I think we're holding fairly well for a positive projection at year end. We're eating into some of that padding that we got from the disposal of the motor pool fund. But that is with 2 full-time hires, contract renegotiations, stuff like that. So just wanted to take a moment rather than go through this kind of same spiel again, just to let council know I did send an email out to staff, just kind of saying, hey, whatever we can do to pump the brakes on anything that's not really a core need for the rest of the year. I'd like to see us start to tighten up a little bit as we head into Q4. That doesn't mean stopping core needs. That just means considering what can be held till 2026. I'm currently projecting us at a 25K or surplus for the year, which is good. I'd really love to see us break our trend of negative general or a general fund decline like we've seen in the last 4 years. So I think we can do that. We're looking pretty good. Some notable expenditures for the month, as always, 183K in personnel services. As you can see, that's really the bulk of what the general fund is doing. It's paying its employees and paying for the fringe. Year to date, we're still at a 44K revenue over expenditure, which is pretty good for September. Ending fund balance in the general fund at 787K. Moving on to major streets. Major streets collected 59K in gas and weight tax sharing in the month of September. As always, personnel and equipment are making up the bulk of the expenditures. We have a net revenue over expenditure year to date of 108K and an ending fund balance of 1.09 million. Local streets, 24K in Act 51 revenue from the state was collected. Very modest personnel and equipment for the month of September. Total expenditures just at 15K there. We did pick up 11K month over month, but we're still at 50K expenditures over revenue year to date for the local street fund. I do have a transfer in from major streets as is allowed. That I will make at the end of the year. That'll be about 100K, and we'll see a bit of a pad in that local streets fund balance. But I'm still hopeful that the state revenue sharing will catch up, and maybe we'll have a light plow season as we go into the fall. For DDA, the DDA. Really just, personnel services, not much happening in the month of September. Net revenues over expenditures year to date at 227K, an ending fund balance of 1.07 million. The DDA is sitting on quite a large pot of money right now, which is cool. I'm excited to see what the DDA comes up with as far as anticipated projects over the next year. See how we can try to pump that back into the community. Moving on to Public Improvement Fund. Just interest on our pooled cash for revenues for the month of September. We did have some repairs and maintenance on that fire truck that finally got booked through. That's that 76K expenditure line under repairs and maintenance. I have an email out to our auditor. We have quite a surplus in our fire fund right now, which is the fund that takes care of our fire truck bond. That's a happy thing. I'm trying to see if we can use any of that surplus that we don't need for the debt payment to cover that expenditure there. And I'm hoping for an email back from Mike here in the coming weeks, and maybe we can pull that out of Public Improvement Fund and save some of that fund balance. ending fund balance as of September, 677K. I expect that to disappear pretty quickly as we approach year end. That's where your Third Street storm sewer repairs are coming out of. And some other projects that we still have to finish executing, like the skate park. That's okay, that's all budgeted, but the surplus that we accumulated through a slow execution of capital projects over the last couple of years is going to be fully expended this year as we had planned upon. So nothing new or shocking, but just you're gonna see that number go down quite a bit, but on budgeted expenditures. Going on to the sewer fund. Metered sales for the month make up 168K. You can see we're at a $3 million expenditure over revenue year to date in the fund. And I just want to again touch base, that is a product of the reimbursement that we're getting back from the CWSRF right now is not being booked on your income statement here. It's a liability, it's bond revenue. So you're not seeing revenue come in like when we were drawing off grants. It's being booked to the balance sheet to a liability. So as those expenditures continue to climb, that fund's going to show a loss until we capitalize that at year end, and it'll bounce back. On your budgetary projections, I did back out both the CW and the DWSRF projects because they make such a large impact on your utility funds. It's difficult to see what's going on in the bottom line if you don't back out those costs. But outside of the CWSRF, the sort of accounting that's showing here, the fund's performing really well. We're projected to outpace our revenue budget for the year, which is good. I think that's a product of a continued product of our metering infrastructure and our revised billing practices. But like with the water fund, I think it would be imperative for council to remember as we go forward with our rate study that surplus that we're seeing in revenue, we are going to have debt service payments coming up on the CWSRF bonds and the DWSRF bonds. So it looks like we're collecting a lot of surplus revenue right now. And I know that we have residents out there talking about their water bills, but that debt on all of this work that we're doing is going to start becoming relevant to these funds as we move forward. We're going to have to make those debt service payments. So as we talk about budget in the next coming months, that's going to be something we need to keep in mind. I know I'm hammering that this fund is doing really well, but we're also expending a large sum of money replacing the infrastructure. And that's really what the rate increase is about, is the infrastructure replacement. So we just want to all bear that in mind as we move forward. Moving on to the water fund. 242K in metered sales for the month. You can see we got federal grant revenue of 2 million in the month of September. In total for September, we've collected 5.5 million in DWSRF grant revenue. I think as of right now, I think in October, you'll see the bond for that one start to kick in. So you'll see the same thing happen with that bottom line. It'll start to shrink quite a bit. But again, those are going to be capitalized expenditures that we'll put back into the fund. You got an ending fund balance for the month of September of 11.7 million in the water fund. Garbage and recycle, chugging right along at pretty much a wash like we would like it to. The 589K fund balance in there is all cash. So as we move forward looking at how we're gonna maybe do new garbage receptacles for residents, or maybe switch to a unified kind of receptacle system with our trash company, know that we have some money in that fund, which would be it'd be a very appropriate use to use that on receptacles for residents. And then lastly, police and fire retirement. I am really happy with what FEG has been able to do for us with this fund, the people who manage our police and fire retirement account. I know there's been a lot of interesting things happening in the market. Our appreciation on our investments is outpacing for a second year in a row my projections wildly. That's really cool for this fund. We are at a ending fund balance for the month of September of 5.9 million. That's largely market appreciation and interest revenue coming out of that. So any questions on the fund excerpts for the month of September?
Anyone?
When are we gonna be talking about the garbage stuff?
We're still in discovery
Okay,
section with North Country,
okay.
and there's some grant potential
Oh, good.
for recyclable bins, so
Yeah,
we're kind of still, Randy's still working his way through, but
it'd be great to not have to pass any expense on.
yeah. Anybody else? Caroline?
Yeah, at the next meeting, we're expecting that you'll also have, a continuation of the existing garbage contract to consider.
So a continuation, but we would somewhere in that process be a changeover,
To
like unified receptacles or?
that's gonna be, but the existing contract has an extension
Right.
provision in it.
Okay.
And that'll be coming to you.
Got
The receptacles are different, and as the mayor was explaining, there's grant money
Discovering
that may
grant.
be available, so that's still being considered.
Perfect.
Grant, or Gray, I'm sorry, the umbrella we were under from the Treasury Department for our water debt reduction. Are we out of that now?
No, that'll continue, I believe, until the bonds are paid back.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was a calendar thing or until the bonds are.
My understanding, and I'm happy to go back and make sure that's a correct understanding, but just off the top of my head, it would be similar to the bond ordinances that we passed for CW and DW, which I think includes stipulations for the life of the bond on what we need to do as far as reserve funds and stuff.
And just for people listening, the water fund is in good condition. But it was in bad condition, and that's why we got put under the Treasury Department's debt reduction plan. They didn't ask us, they told us. So we're doing good now, but that's why I asked when we'll get out from under that. It's not really hurting us by being under that. We're still paying all our bills and.
No, I would say if anything, it's a conservative best practice. I think part of the nice thing about the CW and DWSRF revenues is that they call for the city to put aside money for not only yearly operating maintenance, but for replacement later on down the road. So when we move forward with any large scale infrastructure project, it's my hope that discussions here would include how are we gonna start saving for the next time this goes bad. Like I think one of the residents brought up earlier, you know, it's kind of a constant infrastructure cycle. So I certainly don't see it as a hampering restriction. It's more making sure that we have our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
Good practices.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. We will move along to, let me find my place here, DPW update, William.
Oh, we skipped over 8.3.
Oh, I'm sorry, proposed budget, yes, that's an important one.
So I just want to take a few minutes, really quick to just give some background on why we're discussing this tonight. It's obvious with our public hearing coming up, we can't take any action, but it's obviously not my intention to take any action tonight. Budget is due per our charter on the 15th. This year is a unique situation where we happen to have a council meeting on the due date. I had a choice to leave this off the packet and not discuss it, but I thought, you know, even though you guys are just getting it now, I could take an opportunity and we'd all be better served to just go over it quickly, not take any action. I'd just like to point out a few things I'd like council to be aware of as you digest it ahead of the public hearing. And then really to me, presenting you guys with this budget is not certainly anywhere near the end mark of the budgetary process. To me, this is the beginning step in our budget process for the coming year. So this certainly isn't, you know, I hope that we are able to have productive discussions. This is all open to change. This is our kicking off point now for the budget season. This is not the end. And I wanted to make sure everybody kind of understood where we were at in that process and what this represents and what it does not represent. So I think overall, as you'll see in my message, the outlook for the city is pretty positive for 2026. A lot of the financial issues that we were facing in prior years, at least for the immediate future, seem to be pretty well addressed. But I do want to warn council where costs are up across the board like they are everywhere else. You know, not only in things like health insurance are we seeing giant increases, but even just supplies and the way that we've had to increase wages to remain competitive with employees. And so we're in a good place now, but I think we should start planning now that we've kind of stopped the bleeding. We've put the wheels back on the bus. Now is the time to drive. I'd love to go forward in the next month, thinking 10 years down the road, not just for this year. A few things that I think council would be wise to consider discussing would be maybe looking at what a library millage would look like. The library is a large non-mandated service, and I know we all love the library here. I know our residents really love the library. I'd feel like it might be beneficial to take a temperature check and see how do our residents feel about us funding a non-mandated service like this? And putting a millage on the ballot, a small millage, as our fire truck millage is about to expire in the coming years, might be one way that council could take a temperature check on where residents would like us to spend our time and treasure. The other thing is that we've increased our general fund staff now by 2 members. And so we really want to be careful moving forward when we're talking about personnel and hiring. We are in a good position now, but I'd love to see us keep padding that general fund. That's going to be a big deal
Mike,
for us.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
On that millage suggestion, would that be to replace the fire engine millage?
The fire engine millage will be up here, I think, in 2029.
Cause
Um,
cause I think that would be best served changing it into a different type of millage that would benefit all of our emergency services over there.
We could do an emergency services millage as well. That
I
would be
think
a great
Changing the
thing
fire
to do.
millage to that would be really positive, cause
Of course.
there's a lot we need to do over there instead of, in my opinion.
So
Keep
So-
in mind that
Yeah.
he's not proposing that we do that.
Yeah,
This is just conjecture.
okay.
Really what it is it's taking a look at what our mandated services are and what our non-mandated services are. So every year we know that the general fund is going to be tight. And we know that expenditures are going to increase more than our revenue is going to. Our property tax revenue, no matter what your home values do, is capped by the Headley Act. And you can see that in our millage, our general fund operating millage has actually been reduced by the state year over year for 2 years in a row now. So as that millage goes down, and costs are rising faster than that 4 to 5% increase, finding new revenue sources for the general fund in the next 5 years will be a key priority for council if they want to see sustainability. The problem with a fund like the general fund, where it's 66% personnel services, is that when you reduce costs and services, you're really talking about reducing staff. It's not getting rid of an unnecessary project, it's personnel in that fund. And so I really believe every employee in the city right now has a good job to do, and it's a job worth doing for our
Amen.
residents. But in order to do that, we're gonna have to find new revenue sources, new tax sources. Might be another thing that we could look into. We have an available marijuana license. Our one shop in town pays $60,000 in taxes every year into the general fund. And when we're coming down to a $20,000 pad or a $60,000 deficit, that marijuana license has saved our bacon twice. When we had 2 shops in town, it was 120.
Yeah, we still have an
Yeah.
opening for one license.
And, or, I know council at one point was considering distribution licenses. Those are a potential source of revenue that no other city is capturing right now. These are just ideas. I'm not suggesting any one thing, but more hope to give you guys a flavor of the type of things that we're gonna try to hopefully creatively have some discussions about. Switching the motor pool out was a good move. We got some available revenue. We gave ourselves some breathing room, but this is something that in 5 years, with the way costs are increasing every year, I could see us being right back in the same boat. And so I think the time to do the work is when you're not up against the wall. And so it's my hope moving forward, let's talk about 2026 budget, but also throughout the year, let's explore some ways that we could increase the general fund revenue, because we're not going to get more state revenue sharing overnight, and we're not going to get a higher tax levy more than 4 or 5% year over year.
And we don't want to put a future council in the position that we were in a few years ago, Pat, where we were really
Agreed.
hurting, so.
Yeah, exactly. So for 2026, general fund, just to keep in mind, really the name of the game is finding ways to increase revenue in that fund. Moving through major and local streets, we were able to, we're projecting, a 2025 year end with positive in both funds. 2026 represents, an increase in your all your union contracts and some inflationary increase for supplies. And we were able to meet those, which is nice. The DDA budget this year, I have to confirm this with the DDA, but I did want to suggest that the DDA kick in an additional 33K of sidewalk plow sharing for downtown. The majority of the sidewalk clearing and your snow hauling efforts, which are paid out of the general fund currently, happen downtown, and that's good and
Yeah.
well, but the DDA is capturing roughly $330,000 of tax revenue that would be in your general fund. And so what that means is now that they're sitting on some cash, the city kind of needs them to help contribute into that sidewalk clearing effort, and own their kind of TIF district a little more now that they have
agree.
the funding to do so. And again, these are just some high level things to look at. This is not by any means like a full walkthrough. We're just gonna digest these things over the next weeks ahead of our public hearing here. Public improvement is another fund that I wanted to touch on. Your public improvement millage is 620K a year. And of that, you've got about 194K in debt service on existing bonds. These are your 2015 building authority bonds and some other things that really were before, my time. But the point to drive home is you have $400,000 a year in really your directional money. Your general fund, as we saw, is tight. It's largely made up of personnel services and fringe. So $400,000 is our directional money. If we don't, barring any grant revenue or barring any state appropriations like we got for the fire truck. So this year, I know the library needs a new heating system. That cost of that is anticipated to be upwards of $500,000. I have $200,000 earmarked out of the public improvement fund, which we can either save for next year and try to pair that and hope our quote doesn't go up too much, or council can consider exploring some financing sources for that library boiler. But outside of that library boiler, and then the police and fire have some equipment purchases, which they make every year, that doesn't leave a ton of wiggle room. So right now
Nothing for like the Alcoa Lodge on here.
I'll touch that on the CIP list here.
Okay.
But that's a great point. For projects like the lodge, the difficulty that council will face is trying to choose from its $400,000 pot to make public improvements. Really, what is the best bang for the buck for residents? And I think that's how I try to think about things, is really when we spend money, how is it going to impact our residents, and how can we spread that money so it's touching the most people or creating the most benefit. So when we're choosing projects like this from that $400,000 pot, we really kind of got to pick and choose, or what we want to save for grant matches. As you can see, I need a couple tens of thousands of dollars for our MDARD solar grant match. So that's cool. That's happening. The brass wire is getting that. But every time we do a grant and it comes to the grant match, likely that's coming out of your public improvement fund. Your skate park grant match is coming out of here for 2025 to the tune of 100K. So just keep that in mind as we discuss our CIP list as we move forward. Water and sewer. I just wanted to point out, I have in the revenue numbers, you're baked in 5% increase. I think seeing the debt service for CWSRF and DWSRF on the horizon, and knowing that the infrastructure projects that we are completing into 2026 are only touching some of our water infrastructure and some of our sewer infrastructure, I don't know that now is the time to let off the brakes with that fund. I think we were to try and pause this year as we were able to give residents a bit of a break where we could, but I think we need to balance that want with our infrastructure needs. And again, going back to, that's really what those rate increases are in there partly for, is to fund that system. Water and sewer enterprise funds, they're business funds, and it means they need to charge what it costs to run the system. So unfortunately, with system costs and system replacement costs being pretty high, I am interested to see, I guess, what our rate study shows and how we can continue to fund our capital improvement needs in those funds, but maybe some way find a way to either restructure or lower rates for some residents. Obviously, we're going to need to continue to increase our revenues in this fund year over year.
That's where I was gonna go with the question there is, when are we gonna do that rate study and when are we going to be taking a look at restructuring how that is, so those who use very little
We're-
water.
That would be inappropriate to discuss right now.
Okay.
We're just doing his
asking.
report, but at the public hearing or our very next meeting,
Okay.
then we'll start getting into the nuts and bolts.
Okay, that's fair.
Thank you, Jason.
So that's really, you know, the bulk of what I wanted to touch on. If you look at, your water and sewer funds in here, you can see I've backed out your CWSRF and your DWSRF costs. And then in the water fund specifically, I backed out the, Second Street storm sewer collapse. And the reason that's in the water fund is we actually were able to find some water mains that needed to be replaced. And that was actually Bill's idea. Through some very clever thinking of Bill, we were able to loop the roadway and some other things that were repaired under the water umbrella because we were able to go after some pipes. But we're gonna capitalize the portion of that which was done on water. So you'll see those costs, which were about 370K in 2025 capitalized as well and take off your books at your end. Or excuse me, moved to your balance sheet, not taken off your books. I am available to answer any questions. I don't want to get too far into discussion as we are ahead of our public hearing date, but just wanted to give you guys those points before I sent you home with this to digest it ahead of our next meeting.
All right, any questions? All right, thank you, Gray.
Thank you.
Now, Bill.
I attended a meeting with City of Negaunee, Marquette County and MDOT and QPAD, and we are gonna be in line for the small urban grant for 2029. We switch off between Negaunee and us every couple years, but since 2011, we've gotten it 7 of the times and they've only gotten it 3. So we've been doing really good. So we generously let them take 27. We'll be doing 29, and in 29, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do Lakeshore. We're gonna do Washington Street from Lakeshore to Greenwood, and also Library Hill, Main Street. And those are the 2 that are gonna be there. We do have a grant match on part of that, but it's the same thing that we were doing on the south part of Washington Street next year. We did rent, and we are gonna end up buying the shoulder machine. It improved the efficiency beyond anybody's expectations. They did all of the hospital road, Lakeshore, in probably less than an hour, which probably would have taken weeks because of the efficiency of this machine. The skate park started last week, as everybody can tell. They have approximately, from today, they have approximately 5 weeks of work left. They did a few little changes on the orientation of the park, but things are going good. I think they said they're gonna start shotcreting next week on some of the parts. Quick Trip is scheduled to open on the 23rd of October. Everything's going forward with that one. Well, all of the streets will be paved before your very next council meeting. They're slated for the end of October, beginning of November. You're gonna notice, one of the biggest changes, 2 of the changes. One of them is Hematite and Third. There's gonna be a jog now where it's gonna be a 90-degree angle for the people going on to Third. A couple of you have driven it today with us. It turned out really nice, I think. The other big change is the street is narrowed. It's gonna improve the efficiency of that road, the walkability of that road. The snow plowing of that road, we won't have to haul the snow after every single storm. We have a little bit of a buffer where if it takes us a couple days to plow, the guys can rest for a couple days and then haul, because there's gonna be an additional 3 to 4 feet in most of that area. Other than that, it's just construction.
I have one quick one on the jog there. Is that taking any land away or no? I wasn't able to make it.
There's no jog that's affecting the people. It's just other than there's no parking on Third Street.
Okay,
It's gonna continue the same thing that's at the top of Third Street when you come off the roundabout. That's
Yep.
the exact same pattern that's gonna travel all the way down to Hematite.
No change for like Bethel or anything.
You'll probably lose
Bethel.
on hematite.
Bethel's
Sure.
gonna lose, 2 or
Oh.
3 on Hematite
2 or 3,
parking spaces.
that's okay. All right, that's fine. I was just curious, like if it was going into the where the church is.
No, we didn't lose any trees.
Oh, good. Okay, very good job.
Any other questions for Bill?
Good job, Bill.
All right, thank you, William. Police Department, Chief, what do you got?
Don't got much today, but since you brought up a quick trip on the November 12th, I got a phone call. That's when they're doing their ribbon cutting. And I know they're doing a donation for us for equipment and that. So I just wanted to bring that to attention. So it's good for the community and for our department. So that's really all I got. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. And mentioning the ribbon cutting, it will be November 12th. They're gonna open and then they'll have the grand opening on November 12th. Catherine, how's that election going for you?
It's going good. So I just wanted to remind everyone of the special election that'll be held on November 4th. Also wanted to remind everyone that there is no 9 days of in-person voting for the special election. That's just a requirement for the state and federal elections. So election day would be your only day to do in-person voting. But of course, absentee ballots are still available for all voters. They can come into City Hall, fill out an application to vote. Anyone is still interested in or wants to be on the permanent ballot list, there is a box on that application that can get checked. And then you become a permanent absent voter recipient and you'll get a ballot mailed to you for every election. The other reminder is that City Hall is required to be opened and provide services the weekend before the election. So City Hall will be opened on Saturday, November 1st from 8 to 4 for people to get absent voter ballots, drop them off, just come in for election inquiries. We'll be here from 8 to 4. So just wanted to remind everyone of that. And then election day, of course, the precincts will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Very good, thank you, Kathy. No public hearings, unfinished business, we've got none. Move on to new business. Number 11A, 1 and 2, special events applications. One is for Santa Claus. I hate even talking about Christmas. And the other is for the UP Cross. What is your pleasure?
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve both special event applications for the Christmas festivities and parade and UP Cross.
Motion and support to accept or approve both special event applications. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. State, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, CWSRF, and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF. We have resolution 2825.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 28-2025 as presented.
And this one is to change the names of the authorized personnel, correct? Is that correct, Chris?
Mhm.
We've changed financial director and the city manager. I have a motion and support to adopt resolution 28-2025. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Resolution 29-2025 is basically the same thing.
Your Honor, I will make motion to adopt resolution 29-2025, which is changed for the names.
The motion and support for adoption of resolution 29-2025. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. And the difference between those two, one was for drinking water and one was for clean water. And number 30 is a pay order, 30-2025, And we'll have Christopher home.
Oh. This is, this on? Yeah. Okay, this is your clean water one. We don't have. Drinking water is something, but it's just your standard. This one includes invoice from, beginning of the year, the $60,010 invoice from Pittsburgh of $569, $959, is 1.196 million. And some change to your total is 1,806,588 cents.
What's your pleasure, council?
Oh, Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 30-2025 as presented. Support.
We have a motion and support to adopt resolution 30-2025 to pay UP engineers, Lindbergh and Sons and Payne and Dolan. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Christopher. Do we have anything else?
You know, the state is drawing down, previously all your, and then they would switch over to home funds. So on the CW, that's where you guys are at. I don't see any issues with that. What's happened in the state though is that, some projects are coming in under budget actually, but they get to the end and then they're coming back and saying, hey, you gotta use all your loan. We wanna check for $200,000 back, pay back the grant and spend your loan. So now what they're doing is they're only allowing us to charge up to 70% on the grant. And then they'll start drawing on the loan, so you get to 70%, and then so like Grant said, you're into the loan now, so we reached 70% on the grant, EW, I started to draw on the loan, so you get 70% on both, they'll go evenly. So you'll see some of these things that will continue in the next fiscal year as well, where it's kind of, not get booked right away, so, but that's why it's done that way, so that didn't happen. Our intent isn't to give you back anything. To the full potential, but in some communities, they are already to that. So that's the only thing I want. Otherwise, I think things are going pretty well. I don't know anywhere that we've gone back and had to do something. If anyone has questions from the public or whatever, like the cards or whatever, it's gonna have to answer questions at any time. As far as digging things, construction requires it sometimes.
So in Jeremy's area, we're doing water, sewer and storm sewer, and they're at different elevations. You can't just dig one big hole and lay everything. You literally have to do the water first, or actually storm sewer first, because it's the deepest. Bury it, go back, you do the water, bury it, and you have to do the sanitary. It's, you can't just dig one big trench. That's what the multiple digs are. Yeah.
Yes, we are still following your dig loss philosophy. It may look like we're digging too fast, but what's going on, but they're not into the madness.
Well, the other thing in there is Miller and Semco moved into town. And they've caused us to stop our construction because we were on top of them, they were on top of us. And so there's usually a pretty good reason for the things that are happening. There's no excuse for lack of communications. We sit here every Wednesday for several hours beating the drum about communication. So, and that will come up again next Wednesday.
One of the things, so this reminder, I guess, that we are pausing at Michigan this year, so we won't do that upper 2 blocks or whatever that is, 2 blocks until next year. So we just want to make sure that we're not left with gravel roads, things like that. So we're just break it finish next year. So.
Okay.
Very good. Any other questions for Chris? All right, thank you, sir. All right, moving right along, we are going to resolution 31-2025 City Health Insurance Public Act 152. This is a standard resolution that we do every year. And it by the state legislator to refer to our hard caps option, and we're opting out of that. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Free option, and we don't do the hard caps, and we don't charge our employees 20%. So we would opt out and then can charge, which we do charge a percentage to employees now, which that allows us to do by option. So
So we would be adopting a resolution and accepting option number 3.
Yeah, Your
What's your
Honor,
pleasure?
I will make a motion on resolution number 31 twenty twenty-four that we opt out, which is section 8. And that's my motion.
31-2025. You,
Yep.
you went back a year quick there.
Did I really?
I do it all the time.
All right.
All right, is there support? We have a motion and support to adopt resolution 31-2025 and select option 3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. A lot of resolutions tonight. Resolution 32-2025, authorizing city manager as signatory for U.S. Department of Agriculture grants. Council.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution number 32-2025.
Support.
I have a motion and support to adopt resolution 32-2025, stating that city manager is the signatory for USDA grants. All those in favor? Aye, opposed. Motion passed. All right, this is the one we made the change on. It is to surplus piece of equipment. And it is the DPW Gator number 161 as surplus. Bill?
And we'd like to also, we're gonna put it on the next auction. If you guys approve Beaton surplus, we have 5 pieces of equipment that'll go in the next auction also. We've tried fixing this machine numerous times. We've thrown money at it and it's just not worth it anymore. We need to start replacing equipment.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we declare the Gator number 161 as surplus.
Have a motion and support to allow staff to surplus and sell unit number 161, the Gator. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right. Item 11F, professional services agreement with the Lake Superior Community Partnership. We're gonna have Christopher come up to the podium if he would.
We also have Claudia for public comment.
Yes. I assumed after. Thank you, Chris. Glad you're here.
Today, it's the same existing contract that you had for the last year, because you're aware of part of the DEA that came out in contract with the DEA, and so as we were starting to work through the logistics of that piece, we determined that all of our systems like DEA contract on their specific amounts and that the city contract on specific amounts. So we worked through all those logistics, so the cost now in the contract, which is also spread over multiple years, we talked about why I think it's suggested that we do that approach as well. Remains the same. It's actually a flat time approach. So you can pay for this year, last paying for next year, and the year after as well. We'll still maintain that same flexible RSC, the state of the city, the potential workshops, marketing, and then all of the additional things like grant writing policy. We're other things that we still, I think, just now figuring out how do we really tap into this actually splitting the contracts.
Chris, where are we at with the RRC?
So we were basically done preparing the package to send it to MEDC, but Brandon is the last piece. We have it on RSC, we have built them. I'll look through the list and flag anything. So there is an internal review process, and fortunately, these might be a little delayed to get the state budget. Basically, this land, so I don't have to see the state budget.
Yeah.
We're not, you're in any to change the RSC. So we're obviously, you're close to there.
Thank you.
Right, and it's almost out already into the station, it's in weeks.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so.
Thank you.
We really want to get you guys there. So, the contract, like I said, doesn't really change anything beyond it, just splits it out. And puts those costs specifically the city is gonna face and the city that EPA faces. There'll be 2 separate invoices, and 2 separate reports now, so be able to specifically do the city. The only other thing I would point out to know is I was looking at their contracts. is there's really two buckets of labor that's covered under this amount. So one is those 5 for, right, it's the state of the city, or national expansion. We do those things based on the, it doesn't matter how many hours it takes us to do this contract. And we spend a lot of our time in weeks. And the contract also includes another hours on top of that. That's for policy development, and all the various things. You know, we've always sort of used to this because of the merger of the two contracts, that I think will be able to be more so going forward. The other reason, the other thing that's changed from the end date on the contract, and that was at Randy's recommendation, push the contract all the way up to the end of 2027, just so we don't have to do a contract every single year. And this termination clause that I thought either party satisfied with each other to just end the contract. Right? So there's really nothing aside from staring and saying, airlines sign, our time, every single year is signing contracts. But we feel like we've kind of finally hit our stride in this partnership. So this is paper, it's good to the end of 27. We'll always continue these updates in the ongoing. So, maybe a couple of other just kind of quick things to remind you. I talked was on yesterday presentation on my way from that state, but the things we've continued on doing the contract so far include RRC, right? Includes the Pacific Pension Expansion Visits, which were up to 69 specifically Ishpeming so far this year. Goal was 8, so we're definitely going to exceed the goal.
8?
80.
Okay.
No, businesses talking about resources, helping them grow and expand. And then part of that has to do with new business homes and stuff we did more. So we feel really good about that. The marketing pieces, we still have a couple of those left. We're working on those, the workshops, and very well attended. We've actually been for based on other grant sources, and we're choosing that piece because of our partnership between the West End expansion. You know, the investment page we talked about last time was ready to rock. We're just waiting for these new brands before we create this web page. It talks about why you should invest in Ishpeming and create those resources to help folks do that. So that's one of the things. The DBA grants. The online business audit is in progress. I should report to you on that. Next meeting going forward. John Main's another big one. Of course, I mean, the big one with which again is not a direct, deliverable contract, but it results in pressure. So that allows us to understand those and those opportunities better. And then I always kind of just like to point out that this contract, well, there's these deliverables that are very well defined. It also is really essential to doing a lot of right? So a lot of folks, they make a direct investments, a lot of our businesses, they don't have contracts with this, they don't have specific deliverables. But we like with our municipalities to say, here are the specific deliverables and we commit to you doing. It is more than our direct cost because we didn't take that additional money for organizations to housing, childcare, and other service things, but also that we don't have direct deliverables besides specifically initially, certainly still over advantage. So that has really allowed us to build up the West End in a way. And I think helps us attract our latest West End services, not restructured, which hopefully you all know at this point, it's not very good 2013. We just felt there's an issue, he knows this screen, super excited. She really picked up the last 2 weeks, got me up there last week. She's excited. She'll also start immediately. So she will be your running mother.
Who is that?
Diana Sunberg.
Oh, nice.
Jamie Sunberg.
Very good.
Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions. Like I said, all the changes were pretty much Randy's recommendation of the schedule. That's not the change. It's actually wrong.
The one thing that is gonna change, if I might, we're gonna use them a lot more.
Good.
I talked with Randy prior to the meeting, but there is so much fruit there that we don't harvest. And when we went back, when we had Siren, I think this is a much better fit.
Yep.
Nothing against those folks, but this is going to bloom into a really good partnership. And I think this year is when it's gonna take off. So.
I agree.
Yeah, we're really excited to share that.
Any questions for Chris? Bill?
In a small business owners.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys see all the work that they do for the city, but it's what he was just explaining about the small businesses. The amount of work that they put into each one of our little businesses in this town and what they bring to this community. I don't even know how many events you guys have held at the Mather right now. But it's not just an event at the building, it's people from all over the county coming to Ishpeming and seeing different things in Ishpeming. The awards banquet again is next week, I believe, 3 weeks.
Please tell me this.
My calendar goes, but having them here and what they do for our community on the business level has been astronomical. And I hope that
Agreed.
you guys do keep it with the city part.
Yeah, agreed.
Chris, are you sticking around or are you heading out?
Or to leave them in general.
No. I just had a few things I wanted to.
Here.
I just had a few things I wanted to talk to you about, so I just want to know if I had. Okay, thanks.
Saw the huge shift in economic development at the state level over the last couple of weeks, right? Like I mentioned, basically the dismantling of EDC in a lot of ways. What we're hearing on the ground is what's going to survive that is small business, right? And that there's going to be a shift in the focus of centralized state economic development tools and on the grounds where this sets you guys up, right? The stronger we are, the stronger you guys are, the more black services. So I think a lot of areas are going to be scrambling to get to work on something.
Very good.
Very good. No further questions? All right, thank you, Chris. Claudia?
Most people know I'm not this fan of the spirit community partnership. Hopefully, if they've done anything for residents, yes, for businesses. I don't see where $58,858.34 warrants spending. The city has buildings that prepare city hall outside. The furnace at city hall. The furnace at the library. The tower has a fire department. And police department. The two lodges at Alquata. I think spend our money a little more wisely. And start getting some of these buildings back up to where they need to be.
Thank you, Claudia. All right. (2025) third quarter budget amendments, Gray.
We have to take.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to accept the agreement with LSCP.
We have a motion and support to extend the agreement with LSCP at $58,958.34 that will come from the general fund.
Discussion.
Go ahead.
I just want to bring up though, that a lot of times the public doesn't see what's going on with the LSCP in the city. Maybe we can be a little more transparent on how that happens, but they have done a lot of work for the city, for the businesses in the community. And I think with the RRC stuff alone, we're gonna start to see some big benefits from that in the next 5 to 10 years, especially if not sooner. As well as the way that they are changing things in Lansing, this sets us up in a pretty good position. I guess maybe if we can show a little more what they do, I think we see it. I mean, I know I see what they do, so.
We'll be doing a lot more, being able to sit with the manager on a regular basis and the state of the city type of thing.
Yeah.
And most of that's gonna be done with the partnership's help.
Right.
They coordinate that with us,
Yep.
so. And we will be more transparent, for lack of a better word. But yes, I agree with you.
Yep.
All right. Do we call a question?
You can.
I have a motion and support to extend the agreement with Lake Superior Community Partnership. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Now we will do the 2025 third quarter budget amendments.
Okay, so starting out with the general fund, how I laid these out, I chose to format these a little bit differently because I think it presents a better picture to council with your current budget and the current year projection there. It looks like a lot, it is a lot. Starting off with revenue, we have Leo grant revenue, which is the programming side of the what we refer to here as the skate park grant. That we are taking in, and you can see if you track down a little bit, you'll see Leo grant expenditures. So we are budgeting for an increase in grant revenue, but also the increase in those Leo grant expenditures. Additionally, major and local street equipment rentals into the general fund, I think are running higher than we had initially projected. I had kind of a conservative estimate in there because I didn't want to put the cart ahead of the horse here. So good things there. We had some sale of equipment, and then our investment interest is doing quite well this year. So we're adding about $300,000 in revenues to the budget for the year. With that specifics, we have rebranding costs, which represent a bit of an overage there for contracted services, as well as we had 2 full-time hires during the year. We have an additional police officer, and we have our zoning director. So budgeting for the anticipated costs of those is pretty significant. And then I just want to point out, as I touched base earlier, that personnel costs are 2/3 of your general fund budget.
Right.
So I think we talked in Q2 as we did a big org restructure and we signed our union contracts, that we were going to continue to monitor the effect of that with all of those changes. In addition to no fault of the DPW employees alone, it's very hard to anticipate where a DPW employee will need to spend their time, where the city is going to ask them to spend their time. So DPW employees can pop in and out of different funds with, some variance month to month or even year over year. So as we're going into Q4, you can see we still have a 25K pad under this proposed budget amendment, and we were able to fund all of the additional efforts that we put forth into the general fund this year. So it is a smaller pad than I would hope to see, and that's why I had sent that email to staff asking if we can just take a look at our supplies and stuff for the remainder of the year and make sure what we're purchasing really is a need until 2026. But I'm hopeful that my projections will be enough to get us through the year. And then it'd be nice in Q3 to just do some touching, or Q4, excuse me, to just do some touching up.
Are we taking each page or all of them?
Up to council. I can go through them all at once, or I can go through each fund individually.
Well, I think all at once is prudent.
I think
Okay.
so too.
For major and local streets, decrease in revenue, for MDOT projects that are not going to happen this year, but we had anticipated. So you'll see a decrease in revenue and a decrease in expenditure associated with that. For drainage and back slopes, supply costs and rental charges were significantly higher this year than the prior year. So that just means that we expended some effort in a different area than we did. I build our budgets based on prior year trends. And so when a trend changes, eventually we're going to have to amend the budget. So that's really what that upper amendment is about. Then I wanted to touch base on the heavy plowing year that we had this spring. You're still seeing that really tie up your winter maintenance funds. And I think as we go forward into the year, I don't want to anticipate an early snowpocalypse, but I don't want to count on, I don't want to count on a dry year. So I want to make sure we have enough to cover those efforts as we close out Q4. The other thing is just, if we look at our routine maintenance costs in major and local, you'll see we've got a surplus in local streets for routine maintenance and an overage in major streets. And again, that's just employees spending time in different locations than we originally projected based on a historic trend. So when I say, we are doing an amendment for something like this, it's really just a change in effort from what we had anticipated in funds like major and local streets. Moving on to water and sewer, I have an amendment to reflect the increase in metered sale projection. which we talked about, and additionally, a large core and main credit from our meter replacement project that we're going to be receiving in the water fund. Other than that, we had a vehicle purchase, in there, which is just fine, but, as we closed out the budget process last year, I think the motor pool, the motion to kill the motor pool happened pretty late in the budget process, so that vehicle purchase just wasn't baked into the original budget. And then, as we go down, just some adjustments for pension bond spreads and a little bit of padding for margins as we close out the year. Like I said, I want to try to get ahead of these so that in Q4, hopefully, we're just looking at, touching things up a little bit, nothing major. And then finally, for Public Improvement Fund, two council approved purchases just needed to be amended. And I may or may not have asked you guys if we could amend the budget at that time, but I figured I'd just present them again to you here. One of them is the fire truck repairs, which were of course council approved, and then the purchase of the snow go for 63K, which was council approved as well in the very early 2025. But some of those invoices didn't flow in until September.
Do we need action on those? I believe.
Yes, if you could approve the budget amendments.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the budget amendments as presented.
We have a motion and support to accept the budget amendments. One point of information. This is different than we used to do. We used to do the monthly and paperwork, and you ferreted this out and made sure it's all approved and legal to do it as a group. Correct? I just want to reiterate for people at home.
Yes.
So
Good job.
that being said, motion and support, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. None, I mean. Right, now we will go to mayor and council reports. Ben,
I attended the planning commission joint meeting with the DDA, see how we can work together. Also attended the powwow, and I was surprised at how well attended it was. It was a really cool event. I'm glad that we hosted it. And then I also attended the LSCP breakfast on the West End to learn about outdoor recreation. And they did a really cool job explaining pretty much the suicide bowl area and what the ski club is doing. So I was appreciative of that and attending that.
very good. Brett?
I also attended the joint DDA planning commission meeting, and I attended the community after hours at Goldie's. It was a good time for them to show up their unique shop. It was hopefully we can do some more in the community coming up.
All right, very good. Thank you. Jason?
Yeah, I attended the the Parks and Rec meeting where we really discussed obviously the repairs needed to our two lodges. And hoping that we can get some movement on that as we go and potentially start some fundraising even for that if it's allowed. So that's something that we really want to look into continuing to work on. Attended the powwow. It was excellent. I was standing next to the mayor for a while and we both remarked at how good it was, but I don't want to speak for him. But also did a PD ride along with our police department. Want to thank our police department. I got to see them once again in action. Beyond words, I think is the way I would describe how good our officers are. Just a huge thank you to them. And one thing all of them said to me, and I got to see quite a few of them that night, was how much they respect their chief of police. So, Chief, thank you. Your officers are very, very thankful for you. So, as am I. And then I also want to just thank our state representative, Carl Bonak, State Senator Ed McBroom, the city council, the mayor, those who lobbied for our fire engine, our County Commissioner Dina Lalonde and Sarah Kimbenzi, our former state representative, also lobbied for us. And those in the House, the Senate, and the governor for supporting it. But a big thank you again goes out to our chief, Jason Anala, Carl and Ed for their work. Being able to get the $900,000 for the fire engine is a big, big deal for the city of Ishpeming. But it wouldn't have been possible without a true team effort. So I know the mayor and I have been talking about this for 5 years. It finally happened. So Pat, I think it's good for us that we finally got her done. So I think that is it for me.
All right, thank you, Jason. The fire truck was a huge gain for us, and I want to add Jason to the thank yous. I don't have to repeat all the other names because Jason took care of it for me. He beat me out of a couple of parts of my report, but that's all right. Yeah, especially our legislators, and that's a huge help to the city. And we're gonna continue looking for money for our fire department or a municipal building. We've got lots of catching up to do as well. I'm very much in favor of keeping City Hall and the Fire Hall. They're two very beautiful historic sites. And if they're beyond their life as a city hall and a public safety building, we need to find something else to do with them and find a way to keep them.
Echo that.
I also attended the powwow. It was truly amazing. I learned one thing, I need to bring a chair. Cause about an hour was all I could take, and Jason unfolded his and I said, I'm leaving. I gotta go. But it was very impressive. Thank you to all the people that made it happen, and hopefully we'll do that annually. Ben already mentioned the ribbon cutting, or Chad did, whoever. They will be opening on the 23rd. And like I said, the ribbon cutting is their grand opening on November 12th. I also wanted to touch briefly on the budget procedures. You saw the budget is like 20 pages. And Claudia's here, she remembers what the budget used to look like. My hat is off to our financial department. This is small compared to what the budget was. And it's very concise, but more importantly, it's very accurate. And these people are very knowledgeable. We're going to start, I've talked with Randy and Gray about a quarterly budget meeting with council. And I think they're gonna be, I don't wanna get them in trouble, but I think they're gonna be going more toward a monthly with staff, with department heads. And what we used to do in the past was we'd be hurting for cash, and council would have a budget work session. And we'd all come in and we'd sit around and accomplish absolutely nothing. We'd get mad at each other, we'd holler at each other, but we gained nothing. What council should be doing, and this is what the charter says, we should be listening to what they tell us. And when they say we've got to tighten up a little bit, they need to tell us where they're tightening up, not us tell them. So I think that financially, I think we're really on the cusp of a new trend. And I think it's going to be great for our citizens and financially for the city. So that's the end of my report.
Can I add one thing to that?
You can.
Yeah, I've been on the council now, this is my 5th year, something like that. Our budgets literally did look like that. But we've had some financial issues over the years since I've been on council, and I don't think anybody ever thought that they would get sorted out this fast. I know that even Anderson Tackman has remarked how impressed they are with our finance director, Gray Getzchow, and his team, April. So this as a budget is amazing. So thank you.
One thing before I move to adjourn. The Anderson Tackman Group I don't know if I'm supposed to know this or not, but I do. Tried to hire that man.
I know that too.
And I'll go one step beyond. While we were negotiating with Randy, Marquette County was trying to hire him as the county administrator.
Yes.
So the good Lord looked down on us and let us have them both. So we're gonna be in good, really good shape.
I've never been more optimistic about this.
Motion and support, please.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.